Hi, welcome to another video on my channel, and for this video we're going to look at a basic concept that relates to numbers. What we're going to be looking at is basically place values of numbers and a few more stuff. So the objectives for this lesson is to define what is a place value of a digit, determine the place value of a digit in a number, and also differentiate between value and place value. Right, but before we move into all that nice stuff, I just want to look at what is a decimal number. So a decimal number is a number that includes a decimal point, as straightforward as that. So once it has a decimal point, it's a decimal number. For example, this number that we have here, 65.894. Right, so we have our decimal point and then we have the 894. Now this 65 right here is referred to as the whole number, right? So the number that is the number that is to the left of the decimal point. That's the whole number. Right, then we have our decimal point, then we have the decimal point, and then the part of the number that follows, which is 894, is referred to as the fractional part, and I'll do some expounding on why this is referred to as the fractional part of the number. So whole number, then the decimal point, and then the fractional part. Alright, so let's move over into some other things now. Alright, so knowing that we explored what a decimal number is, let's look at what is a place value. So the place value of a digit in a number is the value it holds in the number. So the place value is basically the value that the digit holds, in the number, right? And remember that a digit is basically a symbol that represents a number, right? A number is a concept, but the digit is a symbol that represents a number. So for example, the number 2, right? 2 is a digit, which is a symbol that represents the number 2. Right, so let's look at this table now. So as it relates to place value, different digits in a number occupies a certain place value. So let's look at the decimal place value chart here. You can see that we have our decimal point, and then to the left of our decimal point we have ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000s, 10,000s, 100,000s, and 1 millions. Right, that's to the left of the decimal point. But if you look to the right, let me put an arrow right here by 10. But if you look to the right, you will realize that you have tenths, hundredths, 1,000s, 10,000s, 100,000s, and 1 million. Alright, and if you notice, as you go to this side right here, each table is being multiplied by 10 as it goes along, and if you go here, it is being divided by 10. As in the farther you go, an extra 0 is added. right? Because we have tenths, hundredths, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and 1 million. Alright, so let's do a few more stuff with this. So it's important for you to know the different place values of a number. So for example, we should put this number in, right? 1, 2. This number, alright, take the decimal point into consideration as well. This is 1.2. 1.2. So the place value of the 1 right here would be 1s, because the 1 is in the 1s column, would be 1s, and the decimal point and the place value of the 2 would be tenths, right? So place value of the 1 would be 1s, and the value of this one right here would be 1 1s, or 1 times 1, which is equal to 1. So the value is actually the number itself when you times it by the place value, right? And if you should look at this 2 that comes after the decimal point, 2 tenths, and if you remember, it was outlined that the part after the decimal point is referred to as the fractional part, right? Which basically in this case would be, so the place value for the 2 would be tenths, right? So the place value for the 2 would be tenths, and then the value would be 2 tenths, or 2 times 1 over 10. So the 1 over 10 would represent the tenth. That's why we say it is the fractional part of the number, right? Which would be equal to 2 over 10, or 1 over 5. 1 over 5. So this is basically the value. So tenths is the place value of the number 2, and then the value of 2 is 2 times tenths, times 1/10, because 1/10 is actually the place value. Alright, so let's look at some numbers now. I'm gonna do just a few right here. So let's look at the number 25, 412, 29.32, 10246. So in this case, let me underline a few. We're gonna look at 2, 4, 9, and 6. Right? So if we're asking for the place value of 2, the 2 that is underlined, the place value would be tenths, is the place value, would be tenths, and then the value for 2, for this 2 right here, would be 2 tenths, which should be equal to 2 times 10, which is 20. Right? The place value for this 4 would be hundreds. That's the place value. But the value for 4 would be 400s, which would be equal to 4 times 100 equal 400. The value for this, the place value for this 9 would be 1s because it's in the 1s column. So the place value would be 1s, and then the value would be 9 1s, which is 9 times 1 equals to 9. Right? And for this last one now, let's look at this 6. What column is this 6 in? It's in the 100th column. So the place value for 6 would be 100th because it's in the 100th column, and then the value for 6 would be 600. But remember, we said this side is the fractional side. 600, which would be 6 times 1 over 100, which would be the 600ths, right? Which would be equal to 6 over 100 equals 3 over 50. Or we don't even have to go so far either. We can keep this, and then we equate this to 0.06. Right? And if we're looking at these numbers now, let me put a few more examples here. So for number 1 we have 3.5, 45.02, 231.3, 20. Wait, let me erase this. 203.412. Alright, 653.54.3875. Alright, let's look at these for now. Looking at 4, 3, 0, and 8. Alright, so let's look at 3 for this one. For the first one, we would have 3 1s. Ones would be the place value, right? And the value for that would be 3 1s, which would be equal to 3 times 1 equal 3. Right? Then for the second one, the place value would be 10s. Then the value would be 4 10s equal 4 times 10 equals to 40. For the third one, the place value is 10th, and the value would be 3 times 1 over 10, which represents tenths, which should be equal to 3 over 10, or 0.3. The 0 in this case is in the hundreds column. And what would be the value of this? 0 hundredths, which should be equal to 0.